Katie and welcome back to my booktube channel. For today's video, I will be doing a full review of You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thao. I'm really excited about being able to review this because it actually is not even out yet. It's going to be published November 9th, and this was one of my anticipated releases of the year, and I was lucky enough to be approved for an ARC through NetGalley and Wednesday Books. So I'm really excited to be doing this review for you guys. And You've Reached Sam is basically a contemporary, and it also has like magical realism in it. So if those things are interesting to you, I definitely would check out this book. And basically, this is about a girl named Julie who is dating this boy named Sam, and they're making all these plans for the future. They're going to go off to college together, get an apartment together. They have so many plans, and obviously they're in love. But all of a sudden, Sam dies, and Julie is having a really hard time coping with this, and she's really grieving. And so she decides to call his phone just to hear his voice on the voicemail, but when she calls, he ends up picking up the phone. And as you can imagine, obviously she's very surprised, and that's basically the whole premise of the book. It's one of the most unique premises I've ever heard about. That just seems like such an interesting concept, like the idea of having a loved one pass away and calling them to hear their voice one more time and them actually answering the phone is just unfathomable. Like that, what she must be feeling is just, I can't even imagine. So it's such an interesting premise. I feel like that should be enough to draw anybody in, and it is just so good. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, I think. As you can imagine, this is a super sad and somber and heartbreaking book, but it's written so beautifully. I would definitely be aware of any content warnings if you're thinking about going into this book, because like I said, it does deal with grief and the death of a loved one, and I would definitely be aware of those before starting, because this is a very, very sad book. It like broke my heart, and I honestly cried while I was reading it, but it's still so beautiful, and that's really the only way I can describe it. I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself there, but this is a character-driven book, not really a plot-driven book, because I feel like the plot develops relatively slowly, and it's just mainly focused on Julie and her relationships with those around her, which makes total sense for the overall purpose of this book. But if you are not really into character-driven stories, I would be aware of that before picking it up. And other than that, I feel like it is just written so beautifully. I feel like it captures the essence so clearly and authentically, and I didn't want to skip a single part of this book. Usually I skim a little bit, but I read every single word. Even with these overarching tones and themes of like sadness and grief and loss, it's also balanced with some happier, sweeter moments, because we get these flashbacks that really showcase the highlights of Julie and Sam's relationship together, and you really get to experience what their relationship was like. You get to see when they first met and how it kind of developed, and the memories are kind of out of order, but it's still done in a really great way, and it's still really easy to understand, and it's really fun because you really feel like you get to know Sam through all of Julie's memories of the two of them together, and I loved him. He is such a sweetheart, and I felt really connected to both Julie and Sam throughout this book. It was also just really raw and honest and heartbreaking to see how this grief affected Julie, not only personally, but also through the relationships in her life. It really tested her friendships and her relationship with her mother, and it is just, I don't know, I keep saying heartbreaking and authentic and raw, and those are really the only words I feel like would do this justice. It is just done so well, and it's written so eloquently. I just feel like it focuses on a lot of different aspects, and thankfully I have been blessed to not really experience grief like this, but this book really hit home recently for a different reason, because this past week my dog died, so I probably should not have read this book so close to that because I was literally crying while I was reading this. This book is just so sad and it really hits home. So definitely be prepared to cry if you're going to pick this book up. The only flaw I could really find in this book, if I'm being really picky, is that I feel like the magic element, like the magical realism aspect, wasn't really explored or explained as well as I would have liked. I feel like I still had a ton of unanswered questions by the end of the book. I wish it was explained a little bit better, but maybe that was kind of the point. Maybe it didn't really need to be explained, but I definitely did have some questions. So that would be the only thing I can really pick on because I loved everything else about this book. Like I said, I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it even more than I expected to. I knew it was going to be really sad, but I didn't know how much it would really affect me. So I feel like that just shows how amazing this book really is. And I definitely plan on recommending this to a ton of people, especially if you're somebody who loves books that will make them cry, or you know, every once in a while you just need a read that will get your emotions out. This is definitely the one for you. I feel like it will definitely make you cry, or at least make you feel a ton of emotions. And I also would recommend this to anybody who is looking for something with magical realism, because that element was really, really cool. And I loved kind of thinking about how I would feel if I was also able to do that. Overall, the writing just brought so many important and honest emotions, and I felt every single one of them. It was really hard not to. I feel like you just go on, not really a roller coaster of emotions, but you just feel so deeply for Julie and for her situation, and it's pretty hard to not get emotional. But I really enjoyed this book. I think this is Dustin Thao's debut novel. At least I haven't seen anything else that he's written. So considering this is his debut novel, it is so good. And I 100% plan on reading more from him. I really enjoyed this. And if he can write that well and, you know, just discuss such a tough topic in a way that is somber, but also kind of comforting and something that people can relate to, it's just really amazing. So I really hope that this review helped convince you guys to pick up this book. Like I said, it will be coming out November 9th, so please go ahead and pick that up when it is out and let me know what you guys think. It is just really great, and I am super excited that I was able to read this ahead of time. Also, the cover is stunning. Absolutely stunning. So I will probably end up buying a physical copy for myself because it is just so beautiful and I really want it on my shelves, honestly. If you guys enjoyed this review, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe, please click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.